We have our guest of honor, Chief of Mission, UNHCR, Mr. William Toll. I invite our visual art editor, Sakina Shikari, to present a brief bio of Mr. William Toll and invite him to address the audience. Thank you.
A little about our guest of honor, Mr. William Toll. Mr. William Toll is the Chief of Mission for the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR in India and the Maldives. He took up his post in February 2015. Mr. Toll has been serving with UNHCR for more than 20 years. Prior to his current assignment, he was the head of Unit Iraq, Bureau for Middle East and North Africa, MENA, at UNHCR headquarters in Geneva. He was earlier UNHCR coordinator for Northern Iraq. He has served as representative in Israel and Azerbaijan. Other field assignments took him to Russia's North Caucasus, Macedonia, Serbia, Bosnia, Rwanda, and Hong Kong. Mr. Toll joined the United Nations in 1991 and was first deployed in Hong Kong. He has also worked with International Catholic Migration Commission, ICMC in the Philippines, International Rescue Committee, IRC in the USA, and US Peace Corps in Togo. He is a national of the United States of America and holds a master's degree in economics and international business from University of Baltimore, USA. May I please request Mr. William Toll to please say a few words. Please.
Okay, thank you very much. First, I'd like to thank our new friends from the Poets and Artists Unplugged for inviting me here today. I think this is very important, what's taking place today in the publication that they have, but I'll come back to that in a few minutes. I'm also very pleased to see Mr. Rai once again, who I had the pleasure and honor of meeting when I first arrived here, and we had wonderful cooperation with Mr. Rai, and he makes me feel positive every time I see him. So I have a few comments, and I think by my comments you'll realize that I'm neither a poet nor an artist. So I'll talk more about the practical issues of refugees. I think quite simply, many parts of the world today are a complete mess. 60 million people are displaced by conflict, whether in their countries or outside, the highest number since the Second World War. Right? They say, I understand, that over 42,000 people are being displaced every day. Every day. And 1 out of every 121 people are a refugee or a displaced person. I say that just to give an idea of the proportion of what's taking place. So there's been much discussion recently about the refugee issue, and that's come about because of these dramatic scenes you see of refugees rushing to Europe and some very dramatic photographs of that. The fact is, it's been existing for many years. Europe just brought it to the attention. And particularly, we were discussing this very dramatic photograph of this young Syrian boy washed up on a Turkish beach. This elevated the sensitivity and the awareness to this issue. But you look at before that even happened, you had 1 million refugees in Lebanon. That's 1/3 of the population. 1/3 of the entire country were refugees in a country that's already unstable. Okay? You had 1 million in Turkey. You have 7 million people that are displaced within Syria itself. And you also have situations in Africa and Ukraine. It's a global issue. I think that we'll look back on this period, and we'll look back on it as a period of upheaval in history, of human upheaval, because of the nature and the scale of the conflicts and the scale of the displacement that takes place. Because after a country like Syria goes through this cataclysm, it's never quite the same. So, India. India, you're lucky to be, I would say, blessed by not being involved in any of these things. But that's not to say that India hasn't had some of the largest human migrations in human history. When you look at the partition, you look at the war in East Pakistan, you look at the refugees that came from China, the Tibetans. These are some of the largest refugee flows that ever in India received all these people. Right? And more recently, you have the Sri Lankans and these types of things. So India is quite fortunate to have escaped these huge migrations of human beings which are taking place on the planet. A relatively small number here by Indian standards, and let's hope it stays that way. And India has been very welcoming to the refugees that are here, mostly Afghans or Myanmaris and things like that. And of this we're very grateful, right? Very welcoming to these people. So I said before, why is it so important that you have this initiative, that Mr. Rai has this initiative to be so involved in refugees? You know, every day when I go to my office, I see these photographs that you saw of refugees. And the thing that's so important to me about initiatives such as this, by the artists, the poets, the photographers, is you bring an element to this issue that people like me cannot bring. You bring an element where you emphasize the humanity of the people. You emphasize the beauty of the human spirit of these people and the resilience. And you can bring attention to other elements to this that we can't bring. So that's why, and I can give my own personal example, when you notice these photographs of these refugees, people who lost their homes, lost their everything, but they're positive photographs. And for me, when I go to work every day, I see these photographs, and it reminds me of elements of the people that I'm working with every day that you sometimes tend to forget. So that's me, who've been doing this job for 25 years. So what you do is you bring this attention to people who really don't know what it is and really don't understand the issue. So that being said, I think it's very important what you're doing, and I think I can't express how I think that can impact this issue far more in many ways than we will ever be able to. So once again, I'd like to thank my new friends from the Poets and Artists Unplugged, and thank you for inviting me here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. William Toll, Chief of Mission, UNHCR.